I wonder why I cannot see this broadcast on. It's showing Arisha Hoodoo Institute. Arisha Hoodoo Facebook group, but I don't see it. Oh, there, right there it is. All is one reflections. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get my technology together. I swear, from week to week, every time I do a broadcast or something, I'm feeling older and older. Um, trying to get my technology to work together. Anyway, thank you all for joining me, those of you who are here. I'm going to try to manage the comments because some of them come in through StreamYard, and then some of them I actually have to be on the different platforms in order to see them. Um, Today, I'm going to talk about gossip. Well, this is an Ask Me Anything, so you can literally ask me any questions that you may have concerning the topic, please, because I don't want to get too far off my intentions for today's reason for being with you. But um, I don't really have a lecture prepared. There's just a few things that I wanted to talk about concerning gossip and why, as people who are committed to our spiritual growth and development, why we should even consider it. It is something worth considering, not necessarily something that we should engage in, because I think that there is very little benefit to being a gossip or being involved in gossiping, but you need to be aware of it. And because knowledge, particularly information, is power, then it puts you in a position of power to understand gossip and to even understand what the gossip is as it relates to you and your concerns. So, I'm going to start off talking about the reasons. Well, let me just define gossip. And I haven't even looked, I didn't ask Webster for a definition of gossip, but I think we can say that gossip is when a person, for these purposes in particular, is being talked about, and that talk is rampant and moving through a particular circle or community. Okay, that's very loose Priestess Osun Funke definition of gossip. Okay, I'm not sure what Webster has to say about it, but that's what I mean. I'm talking about folks. Okay, that's what gossip is, and um, it happens. It's part of the human experience, and it happens in every kind of situation where you get groups of people together. It happens in learned and academic circles. It happens in spiritual and religious circles. It happens in common and alley circles. It happens. Folks talk about folks, okay? They talked about Jesus is something that my grandmother will always say. And baby, if they talked about Jesus, what you think they gonna do about you? Okay. Um, and that's something to really to really keep in mind and hold on to. I've held on to it my whole life because I was raised hearing it. And that comment alone, they talked about Jesus, kind of set the stage for how I personally deal with and address gossip, because it happens. It happened to Jesus, in fact. So what are the reasons for gossip? Why do people do that? Well, I think the first thing is entertainment. Duh, right? People get together, they need something to do. What do? They start talking and they talk about other people. It's really easy to do that. So people will gossip firstly and foremostly for entertainment purposes. I don't think that the average person, when they are sharing a rumor or updating you on another person's position or plight, I don't think that they have the intentions to destroy. Okay. I don't think that their goal is to kill, steal, or destroy. I think that it's just entertainment, right? Just something to do. Um, I was going to go into something a little bit more, but I think we have to be careful about just talking. One of the cliches we're all very familiar with is, an idle mind is the devil's workshop, as well as idle hands. Like if you don't have something better to do, you're going to find worse things to do. And just idly talking about people in a way that's not mindful is not good. It's not good for you. It's not good for the person that's being talked about, and it's not good for the people who are being ill informed by what is being said, especially if it's not grounded in truth. So even though we may not be intentionally trying to cause harm when we are gossiping, you must remember that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? You can have the desire to uplift or to entertain or to reconnect, and be speaking about another person in a way that is actually gossip and damaging. um, People engage in gossip because they are inspired and incapable. Now that's an interesting thing to ponder and to consider, because a lot of times we talk about people because we are inspired by them. you know we're like, wow, look at what she did, look at what she's doing, look at what they have, look at where they've been, look at what is happening with them. And we're inspired by them, and then we also at the same time realize that maybe we can't do what they're doing, maybe we aren't capable of doing the same things that we're doing, which leads me to my next reason for gossip, which is jealousy. And a lot of times people engage in gossip because of self esteem issues, ego issues, which all amount to jealousy. I'm going to talk about this person and I'm going to try to damage their image, because I'm jealous that they're getting more attention than me. I'm going to talk about this person because I want other people to invest time and energy into investigating what they're doing, because it cannot be possible that they have surpassed me so greatly, right? I'm going to talk about this person because I need to check them, because the way that they are growing in popularity is throwing off the social order that I'm comfortable with. Okay. So ego can be a huge reason for engaging in gossip. And the thing about gossip is it doesn't work if you're doing it by yourself. So gossip is very manipulative in that it involves other people and sucks other people into an act that they may have not even had intentions of participating in. It's a group effort, which is why it's so powerful, because it's a multi-headed monster. If you ever played the game of telephone in school as a child, then you know how powerful the act of one person telling something to another person, to another person, to another person. By the time it gets to the end of the line, the message is completely different. The same is true for gossip. A person can start off, I saw, side note related, but whatever. I remember a few years ago, there was a situation on Twitter involving Oprah. And someone had made the comment, I wish Oprah paid as much attention to, okay, this is when she was building her school. I think this is when she was building the school, or perhaps the school was already built, but it was concerning her school in South Africa. And someone on Twitter had made the comment that they wish that Oprah was as concerned about Africans in America as she was about Africans. And Oprah politely responded and said, fact check, fool. I have sent 1,000 African American men to college. I've actually gotten 1,000 African American men's degreed. I've done this, I've done that, and just a very short list of things that she's done for African Americans. And I remember reading that and I was actually shocked. I never did think that Oprah didn't do anything for African American people, because just her existence alone does so much. Her efforts to be who she is, owning her network, executive producing media, and just all of the things that she does. That's doing something for African Americans. But I never thought that she wasn't actively philanthropic. But when she listed the things that she did, I was like, damn, that's amazing. Number one. And number two, nobody would know because people rarely talk about the good things. People like to talk about the things that you aren't doing, the ways that you are failing, your lack of success in a particular area. People don't like to give you accolades or flowers for the things that you're actually doing. And that's why gossip is dangerous because it can skew um, public sentiment and opinion against a person when it's not really deserved. So, those are a few reasons for gossip. We have ego and self esteem. We have entertainment. We have people who are inspired and also incapable. Um, those are a few reasons for gossip. Um, let's talk about the effects of gossip. People are affected by gossip in different ways. I can't imagine being a celebrity, someone who has to field gossip and slander and stuff all the time, because I would imagine that it is at first hurtful. Let's just be honest. It doesn't feel good, no matter how thick your skin is, no matter how tough or gangster you are, no matter how self absorbed and unconcerned you are with others' opinions, it still cannot feel good to know that people are lying on you. That doesn't feel good. To know that people are saying things about you that are not true and perpetuating these lies. And then you hear these lies over and over again, and the snowball effect and the telephone effect that happens when a story is told that's not based in truth. Like, that's got to be a real terrible feeling for a person to have to go through, and then for it to be a regular part of your life. Like, gross. um so I think that it's damaging in a heart space kind of a way to experience gossip. um in fact, I know that it is because in times and instances where I have heard certain things being said about me that were not true, it's very, very hurtful, particularly when it comes from an unexpected source. So gossip can be hurtful, to the heart space. um Gossip also ruins a person's reputation. It has the ability to do that, and many times, as just discussed moments ago, that's the purpose of it. People will engage in gossip for the sole purpose of destroying or damaging the reputation of another person or of an institution or whatever it is, whomever it is that is the target for that moment. And that's not cool because generally we only care about the reputations of people and institutions and things that are making waves, that are doing something. It's rare that we talk about folks who have no impact. So, particularly in our community, our melanated spiritual community, I think we have to be very careful passing judgment and passing rumors, because most of the time, the people that are being talked about are the people who are actually doing something. I don't get involved in a whole lot of social media drama. Y'all know that. But when you see me actively in an argument with someone, or you see me talking or responding to something, it usually is because it is something of a gossipy nature. It's something that's not true. It's something that is harmful to people who might read and believe it. And I don't like that. And I don't tolerate that on my platforms because um, we have enough that we have to overcome. And the last thing we want to be doing is putting out fires and devoting resources to correcting nonsense that doesn't have to happen within these safe places that we create. So gossip and the spreading of lies is particularly intolerable to me, within my organization and any platform that I'm associated with or I create. Um, and so if you've ever seen my commentary in those situations where there's discourse, it's usually centered around the fact that the people who are spreading said rumors or questioning the purpose or productivity of a particular person, organization, are actually doing nothing. You will find that happening quite a bit. I can remember, being questioned about a particular ritual that I was offering a few years ago. And people were questioning whether I had the authority, which I absolutely did, to do this ritual. Whether I had elders who had taught me or given me permission to do so, blah, blah, blah. None of their fucking business, but that's what was going on at that time. Those were the questions that were being asked, which may have been valid questions if the people asking the questions were also people who were doing something in the community and contributing in the community. Um, and they were not. They were font warriors, They were people who sit on the internet and critique the efforts um, of other people. And that's intolerable. We all have a purpose here. And our purpose is to help and assist other people and to enrich the experience, the human experiences of other people. And so if you're not doing anything with your 15 minutes, which is what it amounts to, right? This lifespan of man. If you're not doing anything with your blink of an eye, please don't spend your efforts taking away from what I'm doing when I'm doing the very best that I can. Um, so reputation damage is one of those things that happens as a result of gossip. Also, the spread of information, the spread of misinformation. Um, Boy, the spread of misinformation. I don't even know how to go on. I mean, just the spread of misinformation is horrible. It's terrible. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's awful. It's unfortunate. And that is what happens a lot of times. That is the result of people listening to the gossip mill. And people will believe things that are untrue. For generations they will believe things that are not true because somebody said it, and because so many people said it. And see, that's another reason why gossip is so dangerous, because after a while, when a story or a misinformation is repeated so many times by so many different people, then it becomes unlikely that it's untrue to people. They will say, well, how can that not be true? How can all these people be saying X, Y, and Z, but it's not true? Well, it can happen. It does happen. It happens all the time. Just because 1,000 people say it doesn't make it true. And that's what we have to remember. And so the best thing that you can do is to not get involved in gossip, to shut it down, to not participate in it, to correct it when you hear it and when you see it, and to not be involved in it, because you have very little to gain from participating in gossip, aside from the whole information is power thing and understanding, you know, what's being said and using that to your advantage as far as how you navigate a particular situation or a group of people. I mean, there's that. That would be a benefit, but there's very little other benefit to be had from gossip. And there are a few places that I could go, gossip being a form of witchcraft, because it is, right? And if it has the intention of creating change according to one's intentions, then it's absolutely a working. So if I start a rumor about someone with the intention of whatever the intention is, I may start a rumor just to get a reaction out of somebody. I want to see what she's going to say. That might be it. That's a working. If I start a rumor because I want to destroy someone's reputation, or I want to reduce their chances of being able to do or have or experience X, Y, and Z, guess what? That's a working. If I put the balls or put the wheels in motion for a particular thing to happen, that is a working. So there's an aspect of gossip that is absolutely witchcraft, can be witchcraft. Like I said, if there are intentions and actions put behind those intentions, then there you have it. It's a working. So, like any other working, there are ways to increase the power, um, geared towards a particular situation. And there are also ways to counter whatever those intentions are. So let's talk about remedies to gossip, because we really don't want to participate in or make the gossip more powerful, because I don't think it's a good thing. It's not anything that I personally want to teach or be involved in. So let's talk about remedies to gossip. Um, the first and foremost remedy for everything always is prayer, right? So there are a number of psalms that can be used for gossip. I'm not going to list them here. We actually, um, I digress. There are a number of psalms that can be used for gossip, and you can include those psalms in your prayers, and you can also attach them to any workings that you would want to do. There are certain odu that actually have to do with gossip and the mouth in particular, the power of the mouth, the actions of the mouth. If you are dealing with gossip and you're interested in learning more about odu that pertain to gossip, then please, seek the advice of the Babalawo or Iyanifa that you study under. Um, and with those odu come certain remedies that are written in them about how to deal with the mouth and the tools of gossip. Um, but what I'm really going to talk about and get into are hoodoo ways of addressing gossip. And one of the ways that I would recommend, if you are a victim of gossip, if you are impacted by gossip, I would say, take a spiritual bath. Think about have a moment of meditation and mindfulness prior to the bath, and think about what's actually happening, what needs to be revealed to you, and what actions need to be taken after the fact. And then I would prepare a bath. One of the main ingredients that I would include in that bath would be alum, which is a very typical ingredient in dealing with issues of gossip in the hoodoo tradition. Scientifically or physically, it has the power to tighten or to shrink situations. So if you were to prepare a concoction, and I'm not suggesting that you do this, but if you were to prepare a concoction with alum in it and put it in your mouth, then you would feel a puckering type effect, right? A drawing up or a tightening kind of effect. Alum is used in all kinds of preparations. Thank you, baby. Alum is used in all kinds of preparations. Baths are just one of them. And so, if you want to tighten the mouths of people who might be speaking on you, who might have loose lips about you, you could include alum in that preparation. Um, and I'm not going to get into a whole bunch of mundane ingredients. You guys know or should know enough about the powers of herbs and things that you can add, but alum would definitely be one that I would use for gossip. Um, and I would make, yes, you can. And I would consider using alum in a bath, as I said before. I would consider creating a spray that would include some alum and other ingredients. You can also use different kinds of peppers. Now, be careful if you're going to use this as a bath for yourself, because you don't want to get into a bath, ladies, that has a whole bunch of pepper in it. But if you're making a bath that you're going to use to bathe some particular thing, an item, like let's say you want to create a clothes wash or something to armorize your person, and you're going to bathe items in it, then you could absolutely include, different kinds of peppers in that along with the alum. But if it's a bath that you're going to put on your own physical body, be careful with the peppers. But pepper is used to make your name hot in the mouth of a person who shouldn't be speaking on it. For example, that's just one of the intentions, right? So you could use all different kinds of peppers, right? Um, you could even use, those of you who are students of mine, we use alligator pepper for different things because the spirit of the plant itself is a messenger. So it will take your cries and your intentions to heaven for you, while also bringing heat to the person who would dare, speak your name or speak against you. So pepper and alum are two things that I would definitely include in a working that would have to do with gossip. Also vinegar, different kinds of vinegars, right? Because they're different um, properties that belong to each botanical item that would have been used to create the vinegar. So you can use plain white distilled vinegar, you can use wine vinegars, you can use fruit vinegars, apple cider vinegar. Think about what it is, what your intentions are, and what you're trying to do. But vinegar is sour. Again, you want to keep your name out of the mouth of people who shouldn't speak it. And so vinegar can definitely be added to a bath without any harmful side effects most of the time. Um, there are also some rather elaborate workings that you can do that include things like beef tongue, where you buy a beef tongue, and they are actually kind of expensive now because they are meant to be eaten, of course, and they are like a roast, right? My dad actually prepares beef tongue. I have eaten it before when I was a kid because I didn't have any choice. I didn't know any better, but I do not. It's not something that I regularly eat, but I do understand that it is a rather expensive cut of meat these days. You can find them typically at Latin markets. You can buy a whole beef tongue, and then a lot of times it's cut down the center, and you would fill it with whatever herbs that you want or need to empower your working. You can also place names on pieces of paper, and you stuff all of this into the tongue, and then you sew it shut. And the yarn or string that you use should also correspond energetically with the working that you are doing with the beef tongue. And then that tongue can be buried, it can be put in the river, it can be roasted on an open fire, it can be done however you want to do it. Um, but the whole point is to control the tongues around you. Okay, keep your name out of the mouth of those who shouldn't be speaking it. So we talked about sprays, we talked about baths, we talked about beef tongues. Okay, and then binding. So binding can be done as elaborately or as simply as you'd like. You can write a person's name backwards, forwards, upside down, as many times as you feel led. You can fold that piece of paper up. Once you have it folded, you can set it on fire. You can actually bind it with string or yarn. You can do any number of things, but the binding aspect comes with the yarn or the string, the tying. That is what I'm thinking when I'm saying binding. So those are a few ideas that I have for ways to combat um, gossip. And that's really what I had prepared to talk to you about today. Beyond that, I'd like to answer any questions that you all might have. Any questions, comments, or concerns about gossip. Um, I'm going to see if I can catch the comments from Facebook, if it'll be any faster to get them on my phone, because there seems to be a delay here on StreamYard. In fact, I don't even see some of the comments. Because there seems to be a delay here on StreamYard. In fact, I don't. So we don't have any comments yet in that group. Okay, y'all are saying right on time. Good. I'm glad it's right on time. Excellent. I don't really know why I was led to discuss this topic, but this is what I heard loud and clear, and so I was like, okay, well, we'll talk about gossip. Um, I don't typically like to prepare anything before I do ask me anything, because I think that it takes away from the intention and purpose of the ask me anything. But I did put a few things together just to make sure that I was saying what I wanted to say concerning gossip. Um, Priestess Almost Shoelace says, if nobody talks about you, then you are nobody. That's a line from my opening song, my theme song, which is one of the reasons that I picked that song. So the producer of the record gave me like three different songs, to choose from. And I chose that one because of that line. If nobody talks about you, then you're nobody. And I really believe that people, and I said that earlier in my discussion, people only talk about those folks who are doing something, who are making waves, who are having an impact. And so if nobody's talking about you, then chances are you're probably not doing anything. Gossip only bothers me because when someone says something that's not true about you, it's hurtful. That part is hurtful. And I think most people would agree, but only to a certain extent. At the end of the day, I don't care a lot about people talking about me. Um, but I do care about people lying about me, because I think that there's certain universal truths that always have to be observed, um, in particularly when you're talking about someone who has been collared and crowned, when there's certain assaults that when you assault and initiate, you're also assaulting deity. I'll just leave it at that. And so I don't even have to address certain things. Um, they will be addressed. It's just still unfortunate when you see that happening. And the line of work that I've been in, which is really helping people and being dedicated to the growth and advancement of women, I've been doing that my whole adult life in different ways, with different businesses and different undertakings. Um, I hate to say it, but the truth is that I am rather used to being the target of women that I've tried to help. And one of the most powerful tools that women use is the tongue. And that's just the way it is. But actions speak louder than words, and math is the language of the universe. So people are subject to say almost anything. Um, and the truth will always come to the light. Okay, we have a question here. Okay. This is definitely on time as more holiday gatherings and happenings, when people gather and gossip, especially when they haven't seen people in a long time. For sure. For sure. Ramika, in families, it's gonna be some gossiping this week, right? It's gonna be some gossiping. We haven't seen them in a minute. Who they coming with, how them kids looking, what they wearing, how her food tastes, what she driving, who she got with her this year, so on and so forth. That's just how it goes. Um, and let's pray that a lot of that gossip is harmless entertainment amongst family. We want to joke, we want to kid, we want to give you a slight little, slap on the wrist because we haven't heard from you and we don't know what's going on with you. Let's just pray that that's what's happening this year in our families, and that it's not anything more sinister than that. Someone asked, Ice asked, how do we stop ourselves from gossiping? Very good question. If gossiping is really a problem for you, and you know that it's something that you get caught up in, something that you are prone to do, the first thing you want to do is pray about it. You want to pray that that spirit, that gossiping spirit, that's within you, be quelled. That the hands of that spirit be bound and the tongue of that spirit be silenced. You want to pray that earnestly and as often as you need to, so that you're no longer subject to it. But while making that prayer, day after day, time after time. You may want to engage in some candle work, because the fire of that candle, the act of lighting and observing that candle, will help you to focus on the necessary behavioral changes that you need to make. And so I'm talking about someone who has a problem with gossip, right? And you can also do a series of baths to work on this issue. This is do it yourself kind of stuff that I'm talking about. If you need more help, I would absolutely suggest that you work with your Ori, because your Ori guides everything else that happens. Your Ori dictates everything else that happens in your life, basically. So if there's something that you want to begin doing or something that you want to stop doing, you're going to need help and support from Ori. If you don't know how to work with your Ori, I would suggest that you find a priest or priestess who does. Within Orisha Hoodoo network, we have Priestess Omoshule. She specializes in Ori work, and you can go to learnorishahoodoo.com and navigate to the staff pages and find Priestess Omoshule. She offers a number of different services for Ori work. So I would start with Ori if you need help from the outside in dealing with gossip. Um, but just on, if gossip is not a problem with you or for you, but it's just one of those things that you want to think about, then I would just do ordinary protection work, but I would throw in and be intentional about adding gossip to the list of things that I'm asking for protection for. It's necessary to do that, especially if you're trying to build or grow anything, because gossip is one of those things that can have an effect and utilize resources and time and energy. And it doesn't have to happen. How should we handle gossip in the workplace? The same thing, Misha. If you know who the culprit is, that's the most important thing to find out, especially in a workplace situation. Unless you want to curse the whole damn office, hex everybody, do that. You can do that. I would probably do that, but if not, try to find out who the real culprits are. I mean, there's so many things, that you can do for workplace gossip. Usually workplace gossip, unless your job is literally and actually on the line, it's probably just more aggravating than anything else. And that would be one of those situations where I would like write the person's name on a piece of paper and like chant the hell out of it and then put it in the toilet and poop on it. You can also, do a good old fashioned freezer spell, where you freeze the person's name in a jar of water until they stop talking about you, or until you no longer need to be in that situation. And then you can throw it out, behind you somewhere. You can also put things in that water before you freeze it, botanical items or whatever else you need to. There are a lot of different ways. This is not a hoodoo class today, so I'm not going to teach you particular workings, but hopefully those of you who have a hoodoo background, some of this stuff will spark remembrances, or give you ideas that you can build upon based on knowledge that you already have. But there are a number of different ways to address gossip, depending on how serious it is. If it's just people running their mouths, you may not want to address it as heavy-handedly as you would if someone was making false reports against you to a licensing board, or threatening your safety or your freedom. Then we would approach it a completely different way. And that's another thing that makes gossip so dangerous, because the range is literally that big. Someone could literally be gossiping about you and it just caused Snickers. People giggle about a particular thing, and you never hear it or feel it, and your life is fine. But gossip can get people killed. Gossip can get people arrested. Gossip can get people fired. Gossip can get people's licenses revoked. And gossip can be incredibly dangerous. So we really should be very intolerant of it. Um, I remember watching an episode of Oprah, and she had Maya Angelou on there, and Maya Angelou was saying how she doesn't tolerate gossip at all. And if she's at an event, particularly if it's something at her home that she's hosting and people start gossiping, she would ask them to change the conversation or leave. She doesn't even want to hear it, because it just lowers her vibration, her understanding of people, and she wants to be very optimistic about how she views others. So you can take it very seriously because it has the potential to be very serious. Um, let's see if we have any other questions. Okay, Brandy asked, how would you, and hello, daughter, how would you deal with a loved one that you just can't throw aside that battles with gossip? I would pray for them. You have to pick your battles. If it's worth it and you think that you may be heard, I would ask them about it. I would broach the conversation. But if you know that that's not going to work, or you try it and it doesn't work, then you would pray for them. Really. I mean, you don't necessarily want to be working a loved one, depending on how serious it is, though. If you think that they're hurting themselves and hurting others, and depending on the way that you are related to them, like for example, if it is a parent or a child, um, you are authorized for the most part to appeal to their ori. So you could leave offerings for their ori, you could pray to their ori, you could interact with their ori. Best thing to do is to reach out to Priestess Omoshule and discuss ori work for another person and how we would go about doing that in the safest and most effective way. Um, but I mean, prayer, that's always going to be my number one thing. Pray about it. Okay. Pray about it. Pray fervently. Pray in a way that we know is effective. Pray with intention. Pray with additional action, whether that be candles, baths, or whatever. That's what I would do. But I would start with trying to speak to the person about it. Um, that's my advice. Any other questions, my loves? Well, yeah, Petsu, thank you. Hi, Destiny. Um, okay, let's see. Is that you, Brandy? Who said that? Okay, Ramika, you said I've straight said I'm not engaging in this conversation. Exactly. And you can do that. And that is one of the ways that you, for one, remove yourself from whatever that orbit of energy is. You remove yourself from it, but you also send a signal to the people that are having that conversation, no matter how they are connected to you. You send a signal to them that I'm not engaging in this kind of thing. Like, this is not where I'm at. This is not what I'm going to do right now. um this brings me to a topic that we talked about in an O'Shea service that we did not too long ago. And there's a period of isolation that happens. And it doesn't happen once, it doesn't happen on any particular schedule. It happens regularly as we grow and move and evolve. Um, and there are times when you have to come out from amongst them. Be ye separate, said the Lord, right? You have to come out from amongst those old behaviors. You have to come out from amongst those circles. You have to do things different. You got to do a new thing to get a better thing. So there will be moments where you'll have to look at your girlfriends, your good friends, and you'll have to say, y'all, I can't do this anymore. And if talking about folks is one of those things and one of those times, then that just is what it is. And you just have to excuse yourself because you can't do that anymore and expect to get to the next level. You can't expect to have people stop talking about you. And you can't expect to have your roads be open and cleared and free of debris and fuckery if you're over here creating those very same events and issues for other people. So that's something to think about as well, depending on where you are in your cycle of manifestation and goal setting. You know, you want to make sure that your behavior towards others mirrors what it is that you need to experience, what it is that you are hoping to manifest. Misha says, I can sit and listen to me speak all day. My voice is calming. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Um, Omi Jimmy Lua, welcome. Hello. Okay, y'all, it's 1 o'clock. Oh, we did good today. Because y'all know I can talk for hours. I did not expect this live to be 3 hours, like some of my other engagements, but we did pretty good. Okay, my baby Destiny says, isolation shields me from gossip. I only discuss accomplishments once they are fully complete. Yes, ma'am. I don't acquaint with folks who gossip a lot because I know you will be talking about me too. Yes, ma'am. All of that. You don't talk about things before you do them unless it's with a very trusted, close circle. And the only reason you would be talking about future plans with anybody is because you are hoping to garner support from them. You can speak with people in your coven. You can speak with God siblings. You can speak with God parents. But you don't just be willy nilly talking about things that you have planned for and your hopes and dreams. Y'all know me, Destiny. You know that if I talk about something, it's because I've already done it, right? Or I'm doing it as I'm telling you about it. I do not make announcements. I don't talk about where I'm going until I'm already there. Sometimes I don't even post pictures until I'm back. Um, and it's because we know that witchcraft, the phenomena of witchcraft, is a product of emotion that is born in the gut, right? Which is where the terminology "I hate your guts" comes from. Now, I can go into that, and if you're a student of mine, then you know already where I'm going. But sometimes people can't help the visceral response that their body has when they hear about you doing something that they've always wanted to do, when they hear about you doing something that they want to do and can't do, or don't know how to do, or realize that they'll never have the opportunity to do. And that visceral response, that energy, that "oh, I can't stand her" energy is very, very powerful. That is the place where hexes and curses are born. So if you can prevent those emotions from even rising and being directed towards you, then you stand a much greater chance of manifesting whatever it is that your intentions are to manifest. You get what I'm saying? So to prevent people from hating on you makes your road a lot easier. They can hate after the fact. Who cares? You know, in fact, you know, hating after the fact will probably amount to gossip. But hating on the front end can cause delays and disruptions of every kind that we don't want to deal with. So, yes, I believe firmly that you shouldn't talk about things until they are done. Um, and to be friends with people who gossip and to be in circles where people are gossiped about, you got to know that it's only a matter of time before it's your turn. If you have a friend who talks shit about all their other friends, you got to know that they talking about you too, or that the potential for them to do so is there. You know, maybe you haven't had a situation that warranted them talking about you yet. But you got to know that if snakes bite, they'll bite you too. Okay. Um, Pink Smoke said this definitely was for me. Spirit's been telling me to shut the hell up. Well, do it, because your behavior may be blocking a blessing. Or maybe in this season, you need to just be quiet so you can do more listening. That's the other thing, too. Sometimes when we be quiet, sometimes when we be quiet, we can listen more and better, and we can observe things around us that we've been talking over and ignoring. So sometimes when we sit back and we be quiet, when we stop all that talking, when we stop all that engaging, we can do more observing, and we can gather a better understanding of where we are and who we are with and what we need to do next. Okay, so Pink Smoke, I'm glad this resonates with you, and I want you to be very, very mindful going forward for the next season. Um, be very mindful about what's being said, what you're saying, and and all of that. Okay, so Pink Smoke, you're saying you started a journal. Excellent. Journaling, in my opinion, journaling is going to always be, for me, a better activity to engage in than gossip. Or like Destiny was saying, sometimes you it's difficult or uncomfortable to share with other people. Talk to God, talk to your ancestors, talk to Ori, talk to a select circle that practices within your tradition. Whatever you need to do to feel safe, but having a journal is going to allow you to still communicate and describe your plans and state your intentions and all of those things that we do when we talk to other people. Having a journal is going to allow you to do that, but it will reduce the risk of anyone turning against you, or you hearing about things out of context, or negative energy being aimed at you, and so on and so forth. So I think journaling is a really good way of feeling what we feel when we communicate without taking on the risk, if that makes sense. Okay. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. I thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that this was thought provoking, healing in some respects, and definitely useful to you at present or going forward. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always being here and supporting me, even at the moments where you cannot join me on live. I know that you are with me, and that is why I love you truly, deeply, and timelessly. I'm looking forward to speaking to you again. If you need me in the meantime, you can reach me by direct message on Discord. You would need to join our Discord first. And you can also visit our website for lots of free classes and content. And you can also book appointments with myself and other priestesses who have amazing specialties and gifts to share with you. Our website is Orisha, learnorishahoodoo.com. So LearnOrishaHoodoo.com. LearnOrishaHoodoo.com. Okay. Thank you all, and we'll talk soon.